Hey, this is Florian. I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like you're often late to the ball? Maybe you often find yourself off balance and out of position, which makes it very difficult to hit good shots. In today's free video, as well as the next two, we will show you important steps on how you can go from being constantly late and chasing balls around the court to anticipating balls early so that you can be in good position, which will make it much easier to hit good shots. Tennis is a movement game, and when you watch the best players in the world on TV, you see that their movement is rhythmic and they seem to flow around the court. Efficient movement is very technical, and in my opinion there's nobody more qualified in the world to teach you how to improve your movement than OTI instructor Ean Meyer. Ian really is a movement guru, and he will show you how you can stop being a chaser on the court and become an anticipator instead. To become a great mover, you have to master what Ian calls the 5 R's of movement. In today's video, we start with the first R in the circle of R's, and that is the ready part. You must have a great athletic foundation or base if you want to move quickly around the court. The key, of course, is to have a sequence of effective drills to master this, and that's exactly what Ian shares with you in this video. Let's go out to the court and get started.
Okay, let's look at the first R in the circle of R's, the ready part of it. When it comes to being ready to move, one of the first things you want to accomplish is that base. I mean, you've heard people talk about, you see how the pros do it, but it's really important that you understand your ability to move is directly related to your center of gravity. Okay, so if there's one thing I can tell you for sure that's going to make you a better mover, and if it's the only thing that you take away from this whole series that I'm doing on movement here, is the athletic foundation, the base, that I call the base, right? If you take your feet and you put your feet double shoulder width apart, you'll see how everything just goes lower, right? Everything sinks a little bit. So when you look at the pros, sometimes these people are like 3 shoulder widths apart. You want to be at least 1.5 to 2 shoulder widths apart, depending on your flexibility. We don't want you to be uncomfortable. We want you to be comfortable because you're supposed to have a platform there that you can push from. But we see this quite a bit, especially at recreational levels, people playing with their feet almost perfectly together, all right? And if you play with your feet perfectly together, there's just no way you can ever become explosive on the court. So that's one thing that I can guarantee you will make you a better mover and a better player, is if you can widen your base a little bit. So even if you can add 2 or 3 inches to your base, it's gonna make you a better mover. The other thing it does, it brings your eyes down a little bit. In the next segment, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But it's really important that you understand the athletic foundation. So if you look at me from the side a little bit, you'll see that it creates a position of strength. If you look at me, my back is at more or less 55 degrees. My hips are pushed out a little bit, which now allows me to move in different directions because my hips now will become a rudder or a steering wheel. So just by widening my base and sticking my hips out, now I can maneuver myself in different directions without sliding my feet together. I find when I work with players, when I do this, some will say to me, yeah, but that puts tremendous strain on my legs. My legs are going to get too tired when I play a match. It's actually almost opposite. If you do it correctly, you'll feel that the weight is going into these parts of your legs, into these parts, into your glutes and into your hamstrings, and you can maintain that base all day long. The opposite thing happens when you bring your feet together. The weight is going here into this part of your leg, and that's what makes people tired when they play with their feet very close together. Now, so to become more explosive, wider base. Notice how when you look at race cars, how low they built. They built them low and usually with a strong base, especially Formula One cars. If you look at them, they built very low to the ground with a very wide base, and there's a reason for that. They have to go through those curves with a lot of speed, and that's kind of what tennis is about. It's about the ability to change direction very quickly on the court, very quickly, and that's what this helps with. Now, it's one thing to have the base. It's a whole other thing to maintain that base. So your job as a tennis player is not to just establish that base, but you also have to defend that base. And this can be challenging for players. Because as they're playing, the tendency is to change that. And when you watch good players, watch this spacing here. They always try to maintain it. Yeah, sometimes you can have to run to balls, but when they get to the ball, you see them slowing themselves down by doing stutter steps and going back to that base. So it's establishing and defending that spacing between your feet. This is key. Now, you'll see when you widen your base, your posture will also become stronger. Your back will become stronger and your abs will tighten up a little bit. And this is what's going to make you explosive off the ground. Okay, so now we're going to establish that base and we're going to try to maintain that base. And I'm going to show you a couple of drills that will help you establish and defend that base. And you want to get yourself a ladder. If you don't have a ladder, use some chalk on the clay. You can draw it. On the hard court you can use chalk, but get something like this with spacings like this, right? So that you can learn to use the spacings of the ladder. This is how you get your muscles to do the right thing. I find the ladder is very effective. So I'm gonna bring Elizabeth in. I just want to show you how I do it through the ladder. When you do ladder drills, you have to make very sure you do them correctly. Many players do ladder drills, but they don't do them tennis specific. I mean, there's hundreds of ladder drills that are good for different sports, but you want to make sure you use your ladders for tennis specific movement. And this is one. I'm going to put her in the ladder. Now watch carefully. We're going to establish her base so one square remains open, right? So you put your feet in the base so one square is open. So when you move on to the next square, that spacing needs to stay the same. In the beginning, players find this very difficult to do. They bring their feet into the same box, and this is kind of something that you want to avoid in tennis. You don't want to slide your feet together in tennis. We call it heel clicking. So you click your heels together. First of all, it changes your center of gravity. You can see how my athletic base, when I come up like this, my center of gravity changes, and it makes you slow. It takes a long time for this foot to come up to this foot. So what we want to do is move, maintaining that athletic base, and move in small steps so that spacing can be respected or maintained. So watch, I'm going to put Elizabeth through. She's just going to move all the way. And by the way, you can also use this as a workout. It's a great workout for your legs. You can condition your legs through ladders. So I'm going to put her in the square. I'm going to ask her to keep her feet apart. And I want to look at her athletic base first. Okay, so I wanted to tilt her body slightly forward, right? So we have a strong athletic foundation, and she's going to roll forward onto the balls of her feet. So her heels will be slightly off the ground. Okay, now just go to the next square. Up, yep, next square. Next square. Very good, keep going. Okay, keep going, very good. At the end of the ladder, push back. Okay, very good. Very good, do one more, push. Very good. Keep the base. You see that looks really good there. She has a strong base. She gives small steps, and that's gonna maintain that base, respect that base. Now that's important in tennis. You won't believe how many times people become really slow, and the head starts to bob up and down just because they don't understand this basic concept of establishing and maintaining the base. Now we're going to do another one, a little bit more tennis specific, where I'm going to actually tell her to change, right? It becomes a little bit more challenging, where I say to her, okay, now start your base, move, and every time I say change, she's got to go in the other direction. Tennis is a game of direction changes, so you have to be able to maintain your base and change direction. All right, in the ladder there, anywhere, yep. So she's going to move to her right, and when I say change, she's simply going to go the other way. All right, and start. Change. Whoa. got the ladder. That it happens all the time. You have to practice this stuff. It's just an awareness. It happens all the time. The ladder will show you if you're aware of what your feet are doing. Okay, ready? Go. Change, 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 change. That's very good. And hold. See that she does it pretty. I mean, she's an established player. I mean, you know, if you're just starting out doing this, you will have to do it a bit slower. You know, almost at this speed. Just easy. Change. I mean, she does it pretty fast, but no, she's a very good tennis player already. She's done this many times. All right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is similar, but I want her to change on the sound of the ball. So I'm going to simulate the sound of the ball by clapping. So this is the sound of the ball coming off the opponent's string. So now I want her to go through the ladder, and then every time I clap my hands, I want her to go the other way. And I don't want her to look at me at all. I just want her to listen. All right. So let's stand in the ladder. Strong base. Okay, go nice and slow this time. I just want you to simulate, you know, what people will do at home. All right, so start to your right. Start, nice and easy. And every time I clap, she's going to go the other way. Very good. Keep going. Excellent. Excellent. And hold. That's really good. You see, right on the clap, and don't think it's this easy. You're going to see all kinds of things happening to you. People, you know, people I work with when they do this the first time. Players at all levels, by the way, not just recreational levels, but when they do this, they have this habit of when they change direction, you know, the body goes off center. All right, so the body has to stay centered. The body has to stay postured. All right, so that's a very important part of establishing and maintaining that base is strong posture. We're gonna talk about that a little bit in the next segment a little bit more, but you can see if I go through the ladder and I change direction and I don't have control of my upper body would fall off center before I can change. So it kind of looks like this, you know, that kind of thing. I'm exaggerating to show you, but we see that quite a bit. People, they have a good concept of what the feet are supposed to do, but they don't have quite control of the upper body. The head flies a little bit all over the place. So now, just a variation of this, and there's so many drills you can do to help you with that athletic base. But I'm going to put her in front of the ladder this time, right in front of the line here, just so you can see. Stand in front of the line so you don't step on it. All right, so this time I'm just going to toss her balls very easy from side to side, and all I want her to do is maintain that base. She doesn't have to turn, you know, like you do in tennis yet. We only trying to establish and maintain that spacing between her feet. So she doesn't have to think about turning now when she's catching. All I want her to do is shuffle side to side, catch the ball on this side with the right hand, and catch the ball on that side with the left hand, and toss them back to me. So I'm going to toss, and she's going to shuffle to the right, and then to the left, and right, and left, and keep your base. Okay, stay nice and low. Sink a bit lower even. Very good. Low center of gravity. Very, very good. And this is already at a very, very, very good level. But when you go out there and you get yourself filmed, you know, when you first start to do this thing, you're probably not going to look that good. But it takes a little bit of practice. It takes practice. Just this ladder, I cannot explain to you how few people understand, you know, not sliding the feet together. It's a bit of a challenge for people, but part of the reason is, you know, they got into the habit of playing tennis off of a very narrow base. And so they're used to sliding the feet together. Once you go into that wider base, it starts to feel much more natural not to slide your feet together.
Okay, so that's it for the first free movement video. In the next video, Ian will move on to the second R in the circle of R's, and that is the read part. Here the split step is critical, and in the next video Ian will show you in detail how to execute the split step properly and especially how to time it properly. So make sure you check your inbox for that video.